When Willson Contreras returns to Wrigley Field this season, what should the Cubs and their fans do? We talk about that and more next.
Are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Please support the show and be a part of the Locked On Cubs community by following and subscribing on all audio platforms. And you can watch, subscribe, and leave a comment on YouTube. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. We're 30 days from opening day as we are with you whenever and wherever you may be listening for a Tuesday episode. We are going to get to Willson Contreras and address his situation. Also going to review the TV schedule this year for the Cubs. Of course, a lot of games on marquee, but also some national TV sprinkled in. But we start with some updates here as we record late on a Monday evening. We're also going to play some overreaction theater from Monday's spring training action. Sam Seiya Suzuki has been announced as missing the World Baseball Classic that just broke within the last hour. Him and manager David Ross are going to speak midday Tuesday to go over the results of his MRI and also update on why, of course, this all goes in hand, but why he's exiting the WBC. Where would you like to start with Suzuki?
You know, I want to be careful, Matt, because I feel like by the time we air this, we'll have more news or at least during the day, you know, so I don't want to say too much before we hear the news. But what I'll say is this, exactly what I said yesterday, extremely concerning, was much more concerned about him than Steele, as I mentioned. Why? Why are you so concerned, Sam? Well, first of all, the oblique is always dangerous in baseball. There's so much movement there. He's already proven to be a very slow healer, and he is injury prone. And again, I promise you guys, there's going to be nobody more positive than me when we have something to be positive about. I'm ecstatic at how good Caleb Killian looked today, but I have to keep it real. I think there's serious danger he starts the year on the IL. I'm worried about that. I hope tomorrow I come on the show and the news is good, but if this is an oblique strain of any kind and not tightness, it's typically like a month injury. And then they might as well just start him out on the IL. He's got to get on, he's got to get going for the season. It's terrible. It's terrible because to me, this was always the most important offensive guy. This was a ceiling raiser for this team. This is a guy that if he played 140, 150 games, I wanted to see flirt with 30 and 100, a guy that I think could be an all-star. I believe in his talent. But as we talked about yesterday, talent doesn't mean anything if you're not on the field. And Matt, you know this and I know this because we've been around the game long. Our listeners know this. You could read between the lines. They announced it on Saturday that he got scratched. Then they were silent. Then they announced that he was going to get an MRI. Whenever you get an MRI on something, it's usually not good. And then they have the MRI results because they took the MRI today, have not mentioned anything but that he's for sure done from the WBC, and then have a planned announcement tomorrow. If that's not terrifying, and tomorrow being today for our listeners, if that's
Tuesday,
yeah, if that's not concerning and terrifying, then I don't know anything about anything.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a surprise if it was like, hey, he's missing the WBC just because you want to take the high road and be as healthy as possible. That would be a relief.
Yeah, it'd be great.
But you recapped it really well. I just don't necessarily see a path to that, but hopefully we're wrong. There was positive news today on Justin Steele, so that was good.
Yep.
I think we followed a good line there. We navigated his scratch start well. He's going to throw again Tuesday and then ramp up to an appearance, maybe even with the next 7 days in a game. But the fact of the matter is that you may be losing your your 3, 4, or 5 hitter for the first part of the year. Because if he's out, he's going to have his own spring training.
Yeah,
he's going to stay behind in Sloan.
Right.
He's going to basically restart his clock. And it's unfortunate.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I just want to make one quick point. Because I saw people comment on this and they're right. I don't think this is a huge, huge loss for this team early in the year because they're a lot deeper and have flexibility. I'm just more concerned about Suzuki as the player long term. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I don't think, we lost Suzuki, so no, he's going to be behind. He'll come back. They've flirted with putting Wisdom out there. Ross was saying maybe this opens up.
He got scratched today.
Yeah, right. Well, they have depth and options, and I know Suzuki had a pretty good April last year, but the odds are of him hitting well in the cold anyway. It's not a short-term Cub issue. My concern level comes from, hey, we have a 5-year deal, $100 million invested in this guy. He's supposed to be the right fielder of the future. The last time we gave a right fielder a big contract, we know how that ended. And it's starting now. This is like the first time I'm like a little bit nervous about the rest of this deal. And that's kind of where my concern comes. In terms of the first 15, 20 games for the Cubs, it's going to have a marginal impact.
I completely would be against Wisdom playing right field. David Ross saying that is a concern of mine. If we could just advance the ball a little bit.
Yeah.
Patrick
absolutely.
Wisdom's an infielder, so he shouldn't play the outfield.
That seems easy.
You shouldn't have an infielder playing the outfield. You should have an outfielder playing the outfield. Plus, it's right field, which at Wrigley Field might be even harder than center.
Right.
Right field is typically where your strongest thrower is as well. So it's not going to be Wisdom. That would be a big problem to me. Maybe Mancini, but he's more of a hide him and left.
Yeah.
So
Davis.
I'm going to have to review the options.
Yeah.
But Brendan Davis looks smooth these first couple days. Obviously, he's a plus outfielder.
They might get somebody from the scraps. There's a lot of options.
Darius Hill.
Right.
Ben DeLuzio.
Morel.
Can
Morel.
Miles Mastro go out there? Morel would be interesting in right.
But you got to remember, when you made the lineups, right, that you had 4 outfielders and Morel was the 4th. So even if they do put Morel, somebody's going to get an opportunity.
I got to fill,
I fully agree. I don't want to get too far into this because we don't know that he's out yet. But I fully agree with what you said. Putting Wisdom there seems really counterproductive. I
don't get that at all.
And it's not it'd be one thing if Wisdom was a great hitter where it's we have to have Wisdom's bat in the lineup. I don't even know if I want Wisdom to be the everyday third baseman because it sounds like they're really starting to fall in love with this magical third base thing. I don't know if you've been reading that. They're really into that. So I don't know. It stinks. It stinks.
Yeah. Fantastic.
What else are we supposed to say?
Can you Magical and Wisdom in the same lineup? Are you serious?
Well, listen, I'm not the skipper. I wasn't on Dancing with the Stars. I didn't catch John Lester. I didn't win world championships. I'm just a regular guy.
So some observations from the day of actual baseball being played. First of all,
Cubs got killed.
Yeah. One of the split squad games, if not for injury in the bottom of the 9th, it would have been under 2 hours, by the way. I was tracking that when I got home.
Oh, awesome.
Yes. And David Bodie, 4 for 6 to start the spring. Shout out to Darren. And but the big thing today was the relievers were really good today. They were high velo guys, a lot of 95 pluses on the gun. The reason why we know that is because Sloan Park still doesn't have a setup for velo, but Salt River did at the split squad, Diamondbacks. And
think about it. We would have never known Killian look great if he was pitching it slow.
2 perfect innings today, and his velo looked good on all his mix today.
No, that's good. That's actually that's not a small thing.
Yeah, no, that is really solid, especially given his walk history last year. When we do watch the Cubs this year, what are our options on the television? We know about Marquee. We've talked about them, but we're going to reveal some other channels that will be on this year coming up next. Today's episode is brought to you by Built Bar. Looking for a snack that's healthy but actually tasty? How about a Built Bar? covered in 100% real chocolate, unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. Only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and a whopping 17 grams of protein. Of course, you can go to built.com. You don't have to wait around to get a box, but you can even decrease your wait time by going to the store and get them at your local Walmart or Sam's Club. In-store box options are cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. So if you're close to a Sam's Club or Walmart, go inside, grab a box, or built.com to try a Built Bar today. Welcome back to Locked On Cubs. Thanks for making us your first listen. Of course, we're in your ears, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and a lot more. And on Monday, there was an announcement about the Cubs-Cardinals series in London, Sam. It's going to be nationally televised. The Saturday game on Fox, which is going to be at 12:10 p.m. Central Standard. And then Sunday on ESPN, which is going to be 9:10 a.m. Central Standard. Obviously, the time difference in the UK.
When is that?
So that's going to be Saturday and Sunday, June 24th and 25th.
Oh, God. Boy, who knows
so that made me think of, hey, what other games have been announced and almost kind of under the radar as of right now, and this is subject to change, but there's an astounding 151 games on Marquee. There's 6 on Fox, 2 on Apple TV Plus, 2 on Peacock, and then that one, at least as of right now, on ESPN. Peacock, if you're an Xfinity customer, you already have access to that. You just need to set up if you haven't yet. Apple TV Plus is a complete separate subscription, and that's actually the first national game of the year. Apple is taking a Friday 120 game. This would actually be the first Friday 120 game if that first buffer day stays by itself after opening day. So Friday, April 7th, 120 on Apple TV. They're also on Apple on a Friday night, May 12th. So, I didn't really pursue those games last year. I guess I'll have to this time around, or at least I wonder if there's some public spots that have Apple TV Plus.
Apple TV's easy. You just get it on you just download the app on your phone.
Isn't that a subscription?
No, you can watch it without it.
Oh, so I misinformed on that then.
Yeah, well, at least last year I watched the Apple TV games. I had no problem watching them.
Okay, I didn't know. And
maybe it's changes. I'm not a TV expert. And by the way, Apple TV's not. I know technically it's a national game. That's the worst telecast by far.
Yeah, Wayne Randazzo, who's has Chicago roots, and now with the Angels, and Dontrell Willis are the main broadcast team on Apple this year. And 6 games on Fox, which is almost actually all 6 are on Saturdays.
Right,
which is kind of a lot actually. For
Fox typically Saturdays.
They do a lot of Saturdays.
That's usually their day, and I'm assuming it's a lot of Cubs Cardinals, maybe like a Cubs Red Sox, Cubs Yankees, one of those.
Yep, there's a Cubs Reds even in there.
Oh, that's a bad watch.
That's a surprise, and that's on Fox National, not even FS1. So
right,
that's the breakdown right now.
How many Sunday night games do they have?
1. Oh no, 0. 0.
No.
Because the ESPN game is in London, so that's a 9:10 start, breakfast and baseball.
They have no 6:07 Central Sunday night games the whole year.
No, well, as of right now, they have 0, yeah. The schedule has been released through July, so maybe they could have an August or September game.
What?
Yeah. Lack of national respect right now.
Well, but the Cubs have been on Sunday nights where they've lost like 100 games. That's really odd to me.
That says it right now, but yeah, it's 0.
One
Sunday game. It's in the morning. Michael Kay and A-Rod will be on that call.
That is really something. Don't the Cubs play in New York City this year against the Yankees? They host the Red Sox. No Sunday night baseball games at all?
No, not right now. I double-checked.
I think the Sunday night schedule.
I used to love Sunday night.
Yeah, with John Miller and Joe Morgan.
Yeah.
Ever since
even Dan Schulman.
Every time I feel like I'm watching a Sunday night game, it's one of the NL or AL East teams. It's always an East Coast team because.
No, I think there's some validity to that.
Yeah. Oh, great. The Mets and Phillies are playing for the 860th time. I don't want to watch that.
Right. Yankees, Red Sox.
Yeah. Well, at least that's.
we get it. I mean, it's a big
Yankees,
rivalry.
Red Sox I could deal with, but No, that's not good. I'm not okay with that, but that's fine. Whatever.
And stay tuned as we play Marquee Bingo this year. Certainly going to be a lot of opportunities.
151 games on Marquee.
Yeah, right now there's 11 national games. Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
That's a lot.
Yikes.
You know what's a lot right now?
There's no alternate games on Monday, because sometimes they do a Monday night ESPN.
I don't know anything about that right now.
Okay.
One of the days they're on Marquee on a Tuesday in May against the Astros. They're also available on TBS, but Marquee will still have that game.
Oh, thank goodness.
So, one matchup that I'm definitely curious for is Cubs Cardinals, as former Cub Willson Contreras continues to stir the pot with fans in the Cubs nation, and we get to him once and for all coming up next. Welcome back to Locked On Cubs. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We're going to wrap up today's program by talking about former Cub and current Cardinal Willson Contreras, who I was thinking about the verbiage to use to introduce today's topic, but I'm just going to say he continues to turn his shoulder towards the Cubs organization. Contreras, of course, now plays for the Cardinals. It is his right to move on and move forward as he probably should. But there are a few different things at play here, and I have a list. Number one, he's playing for the rival team. So just on the surface, he's playing for a rival. Okay, that's part of the list. Number two, it was revealed at the winter meetings that he thought about playing for that rival team towards the end of last year. Because he revealed that when he was still with the Cubs and the Cubs were playing the Cardinals when Albert Pujols hit 695, Contreras imagined himself as a Cardinal when he watched Pujols run the bases after that long ball. Okay, that's number two. Number three, a Ken Rosenthal piece from last week in which Contreras said he's going to try to silence the doubters. And finally, number four, just from this past weekend, when Contreras, I believe he was prompted in his defense, but he compared, this is how he responded comparing the Cardinals organization to the Cubs. He said, quote, "For me, I like this better. It's a better organization, the old school way, which I love. Ever since I got here, it's been everything just one way, the Cardinal way," close quote.
Can I, before you get into your rant,
yeah,
because I don't have anything. Are you familiar? Because I'm going to let you handle this because you've handled it beautifully. Are you familiar with what happened on November 25th, 1980?
No.
The great Roberto Duran and Sugar Ray Leonard got into their second match, and it was the famous no mas fight, where Roberto Duran said mid-fight, "No mas." I am saying it for me. No mas for me. Count me out. No mas. I got nothing. Call me Roberto Duran circa 1980. I'm defeated. No mas. It's yours.
Well, my biggest question right now is what should the Cubs do when Contreras returns to Wrigley? Is he still going to get a video tribute? I mean, what would your instinct say? Because my instinct right now is the fans are not going to respond well because this is a well-informed fan base.
Referee,
but what is the team actually going to do?
Referee, no mas.
Okay.
No mas. Para mí, no mas.
All right, well then I will step in then because
Please.
I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
And I'm telling the Cubs organization,
and
I'm telling Willson Contreras, this is absurd what is happening. Contreras is, if it was up to me, he would not get a poster, not a flag, not a video, not a bobblehead, not a spot in the World Series statue on opening day 2026.
Well, the problem is they gave an ovation to Molina and Pujols last year. So if they're going to give an ovation to historic Cardinals that were never Cubs and Cub killers, they may give an ovation to a former Cub that won a world championship. But no mas for me.
No, this is absurd.
No, it upsets
Okay,
you.
I'll put Miguel Montero on the statue. I'll put David Ross. I will not put Willson Contreras.
How about Chris Coughlin?
And I'll leave no stone unturned on that. Because I have a message for him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling the Cubs organization. I'm telling everybody out there. Okay, I'm not going to tell you what to do in the stadium that day. But that first game, Cubs-Cardinals at Wrigley, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to have my eye on that. And I'll move mountains if I have to. He is not going to be on that statue.
And for everybody not on this show, because everyone's been awesome on this show, but all of my friends for the last few years that always said, man, are you way too hard on Contreras? He's the best. I've always respected the way he played the game. Never was a huge fan of him. And I say hi. That's what I say.
Right. Okay, we're going to stay tuned for the Suzuki updates.
Please.
We're going to have that for you Wednesday.
This was a tough episode. We didn't really cover much positive news, but folks,
right.
It's still beautiful. It's still spring training. Yeah. This team's good. The Suzuki thing may cost us a half a game, maybe a game. Don't freak out over it. Contreras, good riddance. Don't let the door hit you, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? 9th inning, Boxberger on the bump. Bases loaded, 1 out. Cubs lead 3-2. Contreras is at the plate. You could start playing Go Cubs Go before the first pitch because he's going to roll over to the left side for a 5-4-3 double play because that's what he does when the game is on the line. Now, no mas for me. No mas. But I'm just saying, when the game's on the line, he can't hit.
What are your thoughts on Contreras? Give us a call. We can try that this week. I'm ready to post some calls on the show or give us a text, 312-834-4634. Be sure to hit that subscribe button for Locked On Cubs on YouTube. Also, make sure you're following or subscribing on your preferred audio platform. Smash the like button on YouTube as well. And thanks for making us your first listen every day. Now make your second listen, Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
Yes.
Win your league by listening to Matt and Dom every day as they bring you the best in fantasy baseball. Locked On Fantasy Baseball, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.